Hey there, welcome back to my kitchen. Today I'm really excited for this video. I've been wanting to do this for a while. We are going to be making some recipes that are just perfect for Sunday dinners. I used to love so much when my parents would make a big Sunday dinner and all my family would come over, and I cannot wait till we move home so we can continue doing that. But for now, I've just been enjoying making some nice Sunday dinners for my husband and I. So I hope you enjoyed today's video and get some great ideas out of it, but let's go ahead and get started. First up today, we are making some lasagna roll-ups. This is a meatless meal, but you can absolutely add meat to it if you want to. You will need to preheat your oven to 375 degrees. First thing I'm doing is just getting one box of lasagna noodles going. They will eventually all fall into the water, so if you just stick them in like that, it's totally fine. Next, we're going to go ahead and start making the inside of the lasagna roll-ups. I have one 15-ounce container of ricotta cheese, 1 tablespoon of minced garlic, 1 egg, 1 cup of shredded mozzarella, a half cup of shredded Parmesan cheese, 1 tablespoon of parsley, 1 tablespoon of basil, and 1 tablespoon of oregano. Finally, I just add a couple shakes of salt and pepper, and then I give this a really good mix together to combine. You may have seen this before. This is the same filling I use for my stuffed shells, but it works perfectly in here as well. Next thing I'm doing into this 9x13 casserole dish, I am just taking a little bit of spaghetti sauce and adding that into the bottom of my pan. This will prevent your noodles from sticking to the bottom. Now I have my lasagna noodles here all done as well. I'm just going to go ahead and start adding a couple spoonfuls of the filling into each one. You want to leave about 1 inch to 2 inches at the end of the lasagna noodle, that way the filling doesn't come out at the end. And then roll it right up nice and tight, set it in your pan, and that's all there is to it. You'll go ahead and continue doing this until you run out of noodles or filling, whichever comes first. Once you have them all in the pan, go ahead and add the rest of your jar of spaghetti sauce over the top. I like to take my spoon and just make sure that I have every little bit of the noodles covered, that way they don't harden up in the oven. Now over the top, I'm just taking some mozzarella cheese and adding that on there. You can add as much as you want. I probably added about 1 cup to 1.5 cups of mozzarella. And then I'm also taking more of that Parmesan cheese. I just sprinkled on a little bit, maybe 1/4 cup to 1/2 cup. And then I just topped it with some parsley. This is going in my oven to bake for about 25 minutes, and this is what it'll look like when it does come out of the oven. And I just went ahead and served this with a little bit of garlic bread on this day. You can also have salad with this or a vegetable on the side, but this recipe is very easy to double, so if you're making it for a lot of people, it's very easy to do. And it turns out to be a really nice meal. Next up, we're going to make a turkey tenderloin in the Crockpot. I make my Thanksgiving turkey very similar to this in the Crockpot, and it turns out fantastic every single time. To begin, into this little bowl, we're going to go ahead and make our butter mixture. I'm adding in about 4 to 5 tablespoons of butter, 1 tablespoon of minced garlic, 1 teaspoon of paprika, 1 teaspoon of thyme, 1 teaspoon of salt, 1/4 teaspoon of pepper, and 1 teaspoon of parsley. Once everything is in the bowl, I'm going to stick this in the microwave for just a second. I actually let mine go a little too long. I like it to be more of a paste rather than a liquid like this. but it's still fine to use, it's just not going to be as thick. Next thing I'm doing is just cutting up one very large onion. I'm going to use this as the bedding for my turkey, so keep those in larger pieces. Now over to the crock pot, like I said, go ahead and add the onions down first. That is the bedding for the turkey, and then you'll go ahead and add in your turkey tenderloin. If you buy this exact same one, it does have 2 turkey tenderloins in it, but I just put them all in as one because it fits nicely. And then you'll just go ahead and pour over your butter and seasonings, put the lid on, and let this go on a low heat for 4 to 5 hours until it is cooked all the way through. Here's what mine looked like after that time had passed. Now we're going to go ahead and make the gravy to go along with this. So this is a very, very easy gravy recipe. You're going to want to take about 1 cup or as much as you can get out of your crock pot. And then I'm also adding in 1 cup of low sodium chicken broth. I let this go ahead and start to boil. And then I'm adding in a cornstarch slurry. So in this little cup, I have just a little bit of water, about a 1/4 cup or so, and then 2½ tablespoons of cornstarch. You'll just mix those together in the cup and then dump it right in here, and it'll start thickening up very, very quickly. Then you'll just want to season that with some salt and pepper, adjust it however you need to. If this does not make enough gravy, you could make this and then add another packet of gravy into it to kind of extend it but still give it that nice turkey flavor. Or you could just skip making the gravy and buy the pre-made gravy at the store as well. But this is what my plate looked like in the end. You can see my turkey there. It was so tender and juicy, turned out perfect. To go along with it, I made some mashed potatoes, and we did have some of that gravy over the mashed potatoes as well, just not in this picture. And I did make some Italian style green beans as well. Next up, we're going to make these barbecue country style ribs in the crock pot. This is what I'm going to be using. These are boneless country style ribs. This is right about 1 pound of meat. I'm only making this for 2 people, so if you're making this for more than 2 people, then you probably should double or triple, maybe even quadruple this recipe. I added that meat right into the bottom of the crock pot, and then I seasoned that with about a 1/4 teaspoon of pepper and about 1 teaspoon of this Kinder's barbecue blend seasoning. Over the top, I'm also going to add in some barbecue sauce. I ran out of the one that was in this bottle, so I did switch to a different bottle. But in total, I added about 1/2 cup of barbecue sauce. If you think you need more barbecue sauce during the cooking process or at the end, go ahead and add more. It's not a big deal just to add it in later. I turned this on to a high heat and I let this go for about 3 hours, and this is what it looked like. You could also cook this on a lower heat for 4 to 5 hours. But by the end of it, your meat should be falling apart just by touching it with a fork, and at that point it is ready to go. I decided to make some mashed potatoes and corn on the cob with this meal, just keeping it super easy, but still super comforting and tasty. Right there you can see that the meat is just falling apart. It was so tender. It's been a while since I made this meal, but I'm really glad I did. It turned out delicious. Last but not least in this video today, we're going to make these creamy steak bites over egg noodles. And I want to be transparent, this is the very first time I ever made this, so I will be putting the original recipe down below in the description box. I followed it pretty closely since I've never made this before. To begin, I went ahead and added in about 1 tablespoon of butter and a little bit of avocado oil down into my cast iron skillet. I'm going to let that heat up while I work on cutting up my steak. For the steak, I'm just using some sirloin steak over here. This came in a package altogether for right around $10, and mine was still a little bit frozen, and if you cut it this way, it actually makes it 10 times easier to cut. I just removed any super fatty pieces and cut this into bite-sized pieces. Now I'm just transferring that over into my cast iron skillet. It's nice and hot at this point. We're not going to do a lot to this meat, we're just going to add a little bit of salt. I probably added about a half teaspoon. I cooked my steak until it hit about 145 degrees. If you want your steak to be a little bit more done than that, you totally can do that. I was a little bit worried about this getting chewy in the skillet. It wasn't too bad, but I honestly think this would be a fabulous crock-pot meal. So I'm thinking about trying it again in the future and doing it in the crock-pot because I feel like at that point the meat would just melt in your mouth. While the steak was continuing to cook in my skillet, I did go ahead and cut up some mushrooms. This is about 8 ounces of mushrooms. I do remove the stems out of the mushrooms just because I do not like the texture of the stems, but feel free to leave yours in there, and I just slice those up in thicker pieces. I was a little sad this didn't get a better sear on it, but that's okay, it still turned out pretty decent. I went ahead and just added it over into a bowl, and we're going to continue using this skillet. There are already some juices in the pan, so I'm just going to add about another tablespoon of butter in there and let that melt down. Once the butter has melted, I'm going to add my mushrooms in there and let those cook for about 5 to 7 minutes until they are nice and tender. I added just a couple shakes of salt, and then I also added about 1/4 to 1/2 teaspoon of thyme. Once the mushrooms were pretty much done, I added in about a tablespoon of minced garlic. I stirred that around and let that garlic go for about a minute or so until I could smell it nice and strong. Next, I added in about 1 tablespoon of Dijon mustard and 1 cup of heavy cream. I gave that a quick mix around just to make sure the garlic was not burning on the bottom. And then you'll also want to add in about a 1/2 cup of shredded Parmesan cheese. Once the cheese has all melted down, you can go ahead and add your steak back in and just kind of let this warm up together. To go along with this tonight, I decided to go ahead and make some egg noodles. I really like these egg noodles I've been getting from Walmart. They remind me of the homemade egg noodles I used to get in Amish country. These ones are really good. The country pasta, I think they're about $2 or $3 at Walmart. I just went ahead and spooned that steak and creamy mixture over top of the noodles, and this is how we enjoyed it on this night. One thing I do want to mention though, I did decide after finishing filming to add in a little bit of half and half and some more Parmesan cheese, salt, and pepper to my sauce to thin it out a little bit more. I just felt like there was not enough sauce for all the noodles, so I went ahead and just added some more liquid in there. But overall, I think this was really good. Like I said, I will link the original recipe down below for you, so definitely check it out. Thank you guys so much for being here today. I hope you enjoyed this video and it gave you some great new dinner ideas. If you made it all the way to the end of today's video, don't forget to leave me a flower down in the comments to let me know that you did. And I will see you guys back here on Wednesday for a new video. Bye!